What's up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel, and for those of you that are new, welcome to our little family. Super excited. So what I want to speak to you guys about today is why you might not be signing up students or why you might be losing your students. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips and tricks on how to keep your students. Stay tuned. Number one, pricing. Sometimes we tend to speak about pricing too much in our lesson, which it shouldn't really be discussed. Your main goal should actually be to do the lesson. So the main thing you have to focus on is actually going in the lesson and doing the lesson. Okay, so don't worry about the finances or if they'll be able to pay or all of those things. We tend to just sit there and discuss pricing, which tends to make the lesson uncomfortable or makes your student uncomfortable, and then they head out and they leave and then they never return. So that would be something I suggest you take into consideration is do not discuss pricing as much. Okay, actually don't discuss pricing unless you really have to or the student asks you about pricing. Okay, so pricing is a sensitive issue. So when you go in class, what you should do or what I suggest you do is don't discuss pricing. If your student is interested, they will sign up, or if they are not interested, they will not sign up. But don't discuss pricing. Number two, the mistakes I see is sometimes we tend to get too clingy. Does that make sense? Okay, we tend to get too clingy to our students. Okay, so for example, let's speak about the situation. If your student has something to do and your student is unable to get to the lesson, okay, we don't want to nag our students. We don't want to put our students under pressure because our students are actually really, really busy, or they have really busy careers or really busy jobs or schedules or whatever, but they are really busy. So if you are going to be annoying, I suggest that you change that. Okay, don't nag your students. So if your student has something to do, it's okay. We all have something to do. So if your student sends you a message and she's like, hey Robin, I am unable to make my lesson for the next 3 days due to da 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 da, it's okay. My response to that would always be, no problem, see you next time, or we can reschedule. Okay, so one thing you need to remember is to accommodate your students. Okay, don't nag. They have really busy schedules. If they are busy, it's okay for them to be busy because there's going to be days, or there are days where you are busy and you can just discuss with your student and they'll be okay with that. So it was pricing. Yes, don't discuss pricing. Number two is don't nag your students. Number three, guys, this is really important. Okay, why I am saying this is because sometimes people that think, or sometimes there are people that think that you can just go in a lesson and speak English or just have a conversation and that will be selling your class, which is a no. No. Listen to that. It is a no. Why I'm saying it is a no is because we tend to just go in the lesson and think we're going to speak, or oh my gosh, online teaching is so easy, you just go inside and you speak and you make some money, which is not it. You always have to prepare for your lessons. You always have to have a structure for your lessons. People think they're going to go in there and sign up a student. No, that could be one of the main reasons why your students doesn't re-sign, or they don't come back, or they're just like whatever, I'm going to find myself a better teacher. At the end of the day, students are paying big money to come and learn the English language. So you have to really be there. You have to really structure your lesson. Yes, structure your lesson. You need to have activities, you need to have discussion topics, you need to have things that keep them interested. If you guys want to see a video on how I retain my students or how I manage to maintain and build up my students, please comment down below and I will surely make a video about that. Okay, so we're going to have a lot of videos, we're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be happening on this channel. So pricing, don't be a nag. I'm being real. Don't be a nag because we want to say, oh my gosh, this student isn't coming to lessons for hasn't been coming to lessons for 3 days and I really need the money and blah da 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 da. Your student doesn't need to know all of those things, okay? So if you are there for your student and you guys communicate well, that is great. So that brings me, by the way, that brings me back to communication. Sometimes people don't, or you don't communicate with your students enough, okay? So I'm going to be real with y'all. You have to communicate with your students, okay? They are regular people the way we are regular people, okay? So you're going to send your student a message to say, hey, Ben, I am sorry. I won't be able to make my lesson today due to A, B, C, and D. And they'll be like, yeah, sure, no thing, okay? We don't just vanish. No, we don't just stay away. That is a bad sign. So communicate with your students. They are human just the way we are, so they will always be okay. But you have to discuss it, okay? You always have to communicate. You don't just stay away because that also impacts your profile, okay? Pricing, don't be an egg. Structure your lessons, and surely, definitely for sure, we need to have communication with your student. So when I'm speaking about communication, let's speak about this for a second. I'm sorry, guys, I don't have notes, so I might be all over the place, but I just got out the shower, so I decided, why don't I go and make a video regarding this? Because yesterday I was browsing through some things and I saw a couple of teachers making mistakes or a couple of mistakes that I have picked up that teachers make because they're like, my students are vanishing, my students are disappearing, why is my students not coming back? Because it could be any of these things that you might be doing wrong, okay? You might be discussing pricing too much. You might not structure your lessons. You might be a nag. You might not give them what they require in the lesson. So comes back to the communication part, right? What I suggest is that you always speak to your student. Find out from your student, what do you like? What do you want to do? What are you interested in? Okay. So what I do is, if my students, for example, they are interested in traveling, exploring, living life, then I would teach my students travel English, okay? Travel English because they love traveling and exploring. So if they are interested in traveling and exploring, then why don't you teach them things that are in the line of traveling and exploring? If you have students that are interested in business English, or maybe in receiving a job, or they really want to apply for a job and get a job, you have to focus on interview questions, interview lessons, teach them English regarding interviews. If you have students that just want to live or learn English for daily life, then you teach them topics that would be daily life. For example, going to the restaurant, you teach about going to the restaurant, going to the movies, going to the doctor, basic things. But somehow, some way, your lesson would always have a goal or a structure. We can't just go in an English lesson and just teach. Or, I mean, my apologies. We can't just go in an English lesson and just speak. No, that's not how teaching online works. So those are the things that you could change to maybe receive your clients or your students, okay? Remember that we are all regular schmegular people communicating to your students, yeah? Not being a nag to your students, no, because they have busy schedules. Um, restructuring maybe your lessons. See, what am I doing wrong with my lessons that's making them not come back to me? Okay, or why do I have this student for a little time and after a few lessons they leave? Why they end up leaving is because they feel that they are not getting value for money. Okay, so we always need to make sure that we are giving value for money, and therefore we always have to go in our lesson prepared. I cannot stress this enough. This is going to be a long video. It's going to be a little bit of babbling and things, but I cannot stress enough that you guys, or that we need to be prepared for our lessons. We need to change. If you see that you are in that lesson and your student is falling asleep or getting bored, or they don't seem very confident or comfortable, then it means that the teacher, you are doing something wrong. So you have to change it up. Okay, always try and change it up. If you see, oh, my student doesn't enjoy this activity, you change that activity, girl. You can't be stuck on that activity, knowing or seeing that your student is not unhappy, that your student is unhappy. And if you see that, oh my gosh, my student is moving and loving this activity, give them more of those activities. Okay, so how to not lose your students? I cannot stress this. Okay, I cannot stress this, because I see so many people making these mistakes and losing their students, or not even signing up their students. Okay, have a relationship with them, speak to them. I love speaking to my students. I literally become family to my students, or we become family because we've been together so long. I've had students for years now, and I love them. I love them. I communicate with them. I speak to them. I structure their lessons. I do not discuss pricing or finances up until they maybe discuss it with me. So sometimes you would have your profile. Sorry. My apologies. I've been getting messages. But anyway, back to the video. I have been seeing these mistakes. Okay. So I have to actually get busy with my chores. Not chores. I have to finish up with the house duties before I have lesson coming up. My husband and my daughter did go to the shops. So yeah, I had this time to make this video. It is a little bit messy and dear mekaar, but I didn't make notes, but I felt like this was important to discuss, because I do see students, teachers making mistakes, and they freaking out. I'm not signing up the student. Why am I not signing up the student? My student left. What could I be doing wrong? Okay, self-reflection. See, go back, see what you have done wrong. I must say, before I actually started the online teaching, I'm going to be real with you guys. Years ago, when I just came from China, I actually got declined. Okay, so there were 2 companies that actually declined me, and I was so depressed. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? Why aren't they accepting me? Could it be the color of my skin? Am I not good enough? What am I doing wrong? And I went back and I said, Robin, you must be doing something wrong. Okay, you need to take the steps back, see what you are doing wrong, see how you can improve, what is required, what students want, what students need, specifically for online teaching. Because teaching in a classroom is completely different, but teaching but teaching online is very different too. Okay, so it's 2 different. I used to be teaching in classroom, and then I decided to become an online teacher, but it was very different. So I had to go back, and I had to study, and I had to see, what do students like, what don't they like, online, what sells online, what doesn't sell online. It is completely different. So you have to go back, see what are you doing wrong, and take it from there. If you guys would like to see a more structured video of how to retain or how to gain or how to get students, please comment down below so that I can get you some of that good information. That is all. I have to get back to life. Yeah, so I will see you guys next time. Goodbye for now.